Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Hello and welcome. Okay, well, I'm going to be kind of talking about beauty and expectations and villainy and dating because all of that kind of relates, especially with social media. And it's like with how men and women are, especially politically after this nightmarish election, which is kind of funny and kind of crazy. Maybe I need to switch my locations with the two account. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to do story time on my standards because at first I was seriously looking for somebody with my standards on these two specific dating apps because I don't do this on every dating app. Oh, you can't. I'm not going to date a Republican, but it's like when it comes to Facebook dating and a few other dating apps, I don't have a preference with education, for example. Is like because I'm hoping people outside of the two dating apps that I have my standards on, that maybe they won't be as judgmental and shallow. And some people are going to say I'm judgmental. I have education level because men basically keep telling me I wasted my money, and as a woman I shouldn't be getting that much education, and that I'm supposed to be cooking them dinner, and if I care more about my business venture than cooking them dinner and making them babies, then I have lost the point of being a woman, while they want to just kind of work their job in a way, but they don't have ambition to get like a level up or promotion or move on to another career that can be better and actually be more stable, and even to the point where they can raise their credit score to the point where they can get a house, pay their student loans off and everything like that. But no, they want to sit in front of their, and it's like, yeah, it's like you can tell like my ex of 7 years, it was video games like all night, every night basically, and over the weekends all day, every day. And so I created my standards because after dating Mr. Lockakey and Mr. No Heart, and in between those relationships and after, either men didn't weren't attracted to me because of how I walk, which it's like, yeah, beauty is so much more than your height and your weight and your facial features, and like if you're voluptuous, and like for a lot of men they want that big behind, and it's like, or a lot of men want that small tiny figure that looks like they had hardly started puberty, which that's scary. That's scary. But I'm going to be talking like a little bit even about the movie The Uglies, and it's off a book series which part of me was debating, should I read it, would I read it, and I probably won't. But it's like, even looking at that movie and how that person got, they would be able to pick every single thing that would make them perfect visually. But then looking at their personalities and looking at the imperfections of how they treated people, it was just like, okay, so great. You're a pretty shell, but not that great inside. Whoopty. And when you see a lot of the beauty and all of the people that are out there now, it's like we've got women trying to chase men in prison. I repeat, we've got men trying to chase men in prison. It's like literally men that they will never have to, well, they could cheat on them, but yeah, that's a whole different story right there. But it's like sometimes I wonder, are women going after these men because at least they don't have to fear that these men are going to then turn around and like ghost them or cheat on them because they have the power of, like, especially if the inmates getting their funds from this woman so that he can buy his like soup or treats or whatever. And so I don't know, it's like I know but I don't know, because even on Facebook dating last night, oh, it's like Facebook dating is almost kind of feeling like a little bit like Tinder, because majority of the men that have written me and told me they were interested in me, like, no, basically they just want me to drive over to their house so they can use me. And then when I say no, they call me out my name, or they say I am the problem, or I am too old to not be used or to be single. And so I might as well allow them to use me. Yeah, because do you know how many men have told me that I might as well allow them to use me until I find somebody? And then when I say no, that I'm good with that. I'd rather find quality. It's like I've already been in the mindset of I've always had to settle. I have already been in the mindset, especially after what my mom said and what a lot of men have told me, is like no one's ever gonna want you, love you, or marry you as long as you walk like that and you act too white, you act too proper. It's like you're a square. No one's ever gonna like you, love you. What is like? Why are you gonna act like that? And it's like, oh, why are you gonna write these books? It's like that's just gonna make you look like a nerd. No man's gonna want a nerd. And different, like, oh, why are you in grad school? It's like no man was a smart woman. It's like, so even when it comes to education, for some men, they don't find it as beauty, they find it as a threat. They find a woman that has the capability of learning and thinking outside of their own sometimes opinions or outside of what they already know. They find it as a threat because that's going to fuel that woman to be able to be independent from what like he thinks. And a man, like, no, it's like a man wants submission. A man wants the woman to do as he says, even though sometimes he knows he's wrong. Sometimes it's just because he has that power. And I'm not saying all men. It's like if you're already taking like insult to that, maybe I'm talking about you, so maybe you need to keep listening. But it's just kind of crazy how many times I've been judged because even education has a part to do with beauty. And because, yeah, I'm a sapiosexual, so it's like if I like, because even education doesn't mean education level. And that's one reason why it's like I know on those two dating apps, I know my standards are high, but who you guys really don't understand how much or how many times on those apps I ran into men who would tell me, "You ain't got no masters." Ah, nah. He's like, we know. He's like, you're all, yeah, you don't have no education. What are you talking about? What do you have a master's in? And then when I tell them, you think you're actually going to use that business? You're not going to use a business master's. What are you going to do with that? And then I tell them how I'm using them. And I used to give my information or like the links to my books and stuff. And yeah, it's like one literally tried to give me 1 stars just to, he was like, see, now no one's gonna want your book. So you need to act right. And so yeah, like so now when guys, oh, what's the name of them? What's your links? I don't send them, and so then they start swearing at me, calling me out my name. No, I do it to protect myself because I used to show and be happy that of my achievements. But a lot of men, they take education as, I think they're in fear of it, or especially if they dropped out or if they weren't able to go financially or anything like that, which I still owe. And yeah, I'm still working on mine, but it's just annoying. And when also with beauty, it's like because a lot of people don't realize how intelligence can be attractive, and because politically it's like some people judge you based off, like, because I do, it's like I am not going to ever date a Republican and MAGA, or it's like at least never again. It's like I kind of used to talk and ask political questions on a date, and I know some guys, like, they didn't like that, or they would tell me it didn't matter, and sometimes like they didn't want to go out with me again. And sometimes I was a little taken aback, but then later in life I was relieved, because I'm like, well, maybe they were too scared to answer those questions. Maybe they refused to answer those questions because they know that they were going to think differently than me. And so they thought that maybe if they swooned me enough or love bombed me enough, that I would just get over it and just be like, okay, I'll sleep with you, or whatever they would want me to do. Yeah. And then even with, because even back to politics, it's like when I see on Bumble apolitical, I swipe left so quickly. And there was just one guy on Facebook dating that I met who he was like, "Oh, you vote? Oh, you're political. You're part of the sheep." And I'll do an episode, like, I'm gonna blur his name or any and stuff, because it's like, yeah, he's a jerk, but he hasn't gone as crazy as most of the others that I have shown. But yeah, it's like I think it's so unattractive, so ugly when I see men that are apolitical, because part of me just feels like, especially as a black woman with a disability, so you don't care if minorities lose their rights to vote. And especially for black people, again, black people had to fight and bust their butt off to be able for fair education and voting rights and housing and just so many other things. And so, especially when I hear it from people of color that they're apolitical, non-political, and everything like that, I'm just like, you know what, just get but then when I hear it from the non-people of color men, it makes sense, because it doesn't matter for them, because this country was made for them, so they're never going to lose their rights, because again, the country was made for them. And a lot of people on the, especially Republican side, vote in the way to, you know, yeah, it's like that's a different story for a different day. So politically attractiveness, and especially with the 92% of black women, what I'm part of that tribe. Yeah, it's like, I mean, there's also non-people of color women who they said they're joining the movement, where it's like, if you want to date us, it's like, yeah, you could not have voted MAGA, Republican, or 445, either way, or whatever, or against, like, what would have helped us move forward. Because look at all of the things that are going on within our country. It's like, and he's not even in yet, but he's already trying to start. And but then everyone keeps saying this, the country is so divided. It's like, one reason I think is because of how the definition of man has been, you got, like, the men have just been having emotional trauma issues, where I'm just like, okay, you guys need therapy. You guys may need some help. I don't know, but thank you so much for listening. But yeah, kind of a habit. I talked over again. There is so much to cover within this subject, and as an intro, I dug a little too deep, but just know that beauty is all around us, and also the ugly of the world, of humanity, of judgment, perspectives. And I'm not going to say I'm beautiful every day, especially after the heartbreak that I have faced. Sometimes I wonder if the pity comes from the beauty or the ugly, or are they battling the two? Because sometimes there are things I want to say and do or put in my novels that I have to pause and stop myself, because I have to think, is this ugly? And sometimes I have to wonder, is this, am I scared that this is ugly because of judgment? Or am I scared that this is ugly because I don't want to interfere with the progress of humanity? Might sound corny, but I just want to make sure, with after all the heartbreak and all of the ugly that I have to face, that I don't follow suit within those dangerous, ugly atmospheres. But please listen to part 1B. And because, yeah, I know I mentioned one of the students from my past, and it's like I mean it. And some people might say I'm mean for saying it, but when you literally have students who are allowed to say that there's a whole list, and that's probably going to be an episode of its own, but real quick, that they're going to slash my tires, that they are going to CHOKE my throat and impregnate me. And I mean, that's only two examples, but I don't really, yeah, let's just say when I finally find a therapist, some of the things that these students were allowed to tell me, and I wrote them up, but they never got punished. The emotional counselor, like, she literally threw my write ups away on purpose, smiling and laughing while she did it. And I know this as a fact because she did like two other teachers as well. And we all found out amongst each other. But sometimes I just wonder how much trauma did he go through to be that ugly? And some of the things he, like, I can't even. But sometimes ugly produces ugly. It's like seeds. And I think that's one reason I want to discuss it, because even at the community college that I taught at, and I might teach there again, I'm still, it's like the staff, when I needed them, they didn't care. When students would literally try to trip me, mistreat me, and mock me, or tell me that because of my disability, because of my appearance, because of how I look, that I could not possibly know what I'm talking about. And it's disgusting and sad. But that's why I'm doing this series, because I want to dig deeper in what is beauty. Why do people look at certain people and automatically think the good in them? And like, because even with catfish, like, because you guys are gonna see a whole lot more videos, because I have new catfish too over the last week. But it's just crazy with how many of millions and billions of dollars these people are able to get, because they find the right picture that will gravitate and that will introduce or entice people to give them money based off of looks, based off of how they're the imaginary person they are creating this image to be. And I find that crazy but enlightening and terrifying and ugly, all of this, because they're literally using the outward beauty in order to create an ugly monster, and to some an ugly nightmare, because for some, like, some people became homeless, some people became like someone totally different because of the heartbreak of this. So, yeah, there's so many reasons why I want to cover and talk about this, but I will talk to you guys later. Make sure to listen to part B, 1B. And yeah, get ready, because I'm going to be getting more and more nerdy, and I know I need to do more episodes on the nerd channel, but I thought this would be great for this channel, since I show the screenshots and I talk a lot about dating nightmares. And I feel like, especially the young women and young men, get away from this red pill. Know who you are. Don't escape who you are. Don't allow anyone else to change who you are. And find out what your beauty is and keep that. Stay hold to that. Because some people out here are trying to turn you ugly. Some people are going to try their best to ruin you, to mess you up, and to their okay, I've got more stories later. I'm sorry. This is 6 minutes. My bad. Sorry. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. And now my conclusion. So this is the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human, and you're human too. So start thinking about what you think is attractive or what is beauty, what defines beauty. Write that into the description because some people, they don't see beauty in the same way. So talk to you later. Bye.